It's spooky season, y'all, and it looks like Hogwarts Legacy is back with its social media promotion. We got today a little bit about Sebastian Sallow, our Slytherin companion. We've seen him before. We saw him in the State of Play. He got his own feature in the Dark Legacy trailer that we also got at Gamescom. And not only was it posted on Instagram, but it was also posted on Twitter. So I am anticipating a full week of companion content for Hogwarts Legacy. The post reads, "The Sallow family has quite the mystery." And you can see it's an image. It looks kind of like a cool card. If they made trading cards, you know I'm going to get them. But a cool card with Sebastian Sallow, Slytherin. It says that he's a charming and extroverted boy whose twin sister, Anne, suffers from a mysterious, debilitating curse. Sebastian is convinced that her last hope for a cure lies in the dark arts, and he is determined to find it. I mean, his whole deal in that trailer was about the dark arts and how, who gets to call them dark arts? Maybe we need to resort to them. And this kind of illuminates part of that backstory for Sebastian that I'm sure we'll be able to see a bit about. In the State of Play, we got a cutscene, and it started with him in the restricted section. We've talked about this last week because Peeves is also in that shot, and he gets in trouble. He gets caught for being in the restricted section. And then it cuts to a scene where he is talking to a girl. We had discussions about whether it was his mother or sister, but it seemed like some sort of relative. And we see him holding a shrivel fig, but then an adult who we also see in the Dark Legacy, he's in there, takes it away and makes it vanish and is saying, like, shrivel figs don't cure a curse. So we already knew that whoever this young lady was, she had a curse, but now we know for sure it's his twin sister and her name is Anne. Now, my questions, actually, there's lots of questions that we could ask about this, and it's fine that we probably won't get all the answers. We'll probably experience it ourselves when we get on this quest line for the Slytherin companion with Sebastian. But is Sebastian's mom alive? So my inclination is that this curse is probably a blood curse. And I've said this from the start, and I don't have any reason, I have no evidence to say so, other than the fact that she's a girl. Blood maledictions impact female witches, and so it's passed down through the family, and I could see that being part of the story. So if Sebastian's mom also had the blood malediction, then she might not be around. Maybe she died from the blood malediction, and that inspires Sebastian to go search for a cure so the same thing doesn't happen to his sister, particularly his twin sister. You'll also notice that in the State of Play, he is wearing his school robes and she is just wearing regular clothing. And it looks like she's kind of bundled up, and she also appears to have a very pale complexion, much more pale than Sebastian's. So earlier today on the live stream, when this news dropped, we were kind of discussing this and thinking about, well, could it be a blood malediction, and what are the circumstances around it? Who is this adult? Is this adult the father? And so he's like trying to guide Sebastian and say, we've tried everything. There is no cure. It is something that doesn't have a cure, and it's just something we have to live with. We just care for her. And since he seems to be someone who works at Hogwarts, perhaps this was kind of the question is this location in the State of Play, is this their home? Or is this somewhere in Hogwarts? To me, it looks kind of like a home because there's, sort of like a kitchen area with some pots and pans and ladles. And then you also have this area that seems to be kind of filled with knickknacks, or it just looks homey to me. But it's possible that it could be kind of like a groundskeeper's area, and that he is there, that they're there at Hogwarts, and what if he's taking care of his daughter and she comes to work with him every day? Because if the mother's not there, then who's going to care for Anne? So that's a possibility. There was also an interesting suggestion that maybe this man is the mother's brother, so the uncle, that he's the uncle of Sebastian and Anne, and that's an interesting storyline because maybe if the mother did die from a blood malediction and that's her brother, maybe he tried to do stuff to try to cure it or to find a cure for it. So he could definitely be empathizing with what Sebastian's going through and perhaps speaking from experience. Either way, whoever the adult is seems to have some sort of like, there's nothing that could be done, but Sebastian, and we know this from the Dark Arts trailer, he turns to the Dark Arts. He knows that Salazar Slytherin is all about the Dark Arts, and there could potentially be something to learn. And what if there's something dark, not necessarily an unforgivable curse, but maybe something within the Dark Arts that could be helpful to his sister. Now, if there is something that is helpful in this dark arts location, then I think that Sebastian has no problem with casting an unforgivable curse because it is in service of the main mission, which is to help his sister out. I'm also excited that they tweeted this photo and they shared it across multiple social media platforms because I feel like this is the start of our different look into the companions. So if this week is companion week and we're starting off with Sebastian Sallow for Slytherin, I anticipate we'll also see the other two companions we know about and potentially finally get to meet or learn anything about the Ravenclaw companion. So my prediction for this week is that we have Sebastian on Monday for Slytherin, and then we'll get probably Poppy, I don't know, I'm just making a guess, Poppy for Hufflepuff tomorrow on Tuesday. She's, pretty talked about, especially, if you know, you know. Then on Wednesday, I think we'll get Natsai for Gryffindor. And then Thursday, that would leave us with a new reveal, the Ravenclaw companion. Now, I would personally love to have just a little clip of the Ravenclaw companion. That could be a Friday video. Make a video, even if it's just in compilation where it's like everyone gets their spotlight again, but now you introduce the Ravenclaw companion. I think that would be really great to see. We don't know much about the Ravenclaw companion because they haven't shared anything. There's no mention of the companion in any of the video, any of the blog posts, anywhere. So this week would be the perfect opportunity to share something about the Ravenclaw companion and to appease us Ravenclaws who are just like sitting here like, Ravenclaw companion, please. But I am looking forward to whatever it is they have to show us with the companions this week. And I'm going to be honest, so Sebastian is a fan favorite. They've talked about it, or Chandler's talked about it in the PlayStation blog, where even WB Games Avalanche employees are a super big fan of Seb. And I've got to agree, so far his story seems to be the most compelling, but to be fair, we don't know anything about the other companions, so they could have also really awesome storylines as well. But the whole thing that caught me was you have this mystery, you have a curse, and I'm going to keep calling it a blood curse. It could be something else. Other people threw ideas in the chat of like maybe an obscurial, which I think would be very interesting in this particular time frame, given that the Fantastic Beasts series also deals with that as well. I think it'd be interesting also with, we have the Dumbledore family having their own situation, so maybe there's some sort of connection to obscurials there, but I'm not sure exactly what this curse is. Regardless, it is a curse and it is mysterious, and you have like the darkness that's framed around the motivations and the storyline itself. And so all of that was very intriguing to me. I think what caught me off guard this morning is that as someone who lives with a chronic illness, I can definitely understand what Sebastian is potentially going through. And so we've talked about these cases where we know that Nagini has a blood curse, we know about Ariana, and so we know of these instances in the wizarding world, but we don't really have much storytelling elaborated about what the families go through and what the experience is like itself. So if you have a debilitating illness that is forever, it's something that you have to deal with. You have to process it and you have to live with it. So to see that story unfolding for me personally, I think is going to be a little bit emotional, but I think that it also provides an opportunity to raise awareness for sort of the kinds of dynamics that happen when we're dealing with something like that sort of grief that you process daily because it doesn't go away. And to think about, connections to real life of if you're living with an autoimmune disease or another chronic illness, and what that's like, and what it's like for caregivers, and what it's like for families, and for people who are connected to something like that for a person that they love, and what you would do in those circumstances. And so there's going to probably be a lot of very complicated dynamics and emotions going on, because if there is no cure, then there is no cure. There's nothing you can do. But Sebastian is pretty determined to disprove that and to find some sort of solution that works. But that's the quick recap for today's post. I will be looking out. I typically kind of camp out around 10 a.m. Pacific time on Hogwarts Legacy socials. I do have notification alerts on for them, so when they do post, I get a notification. But usually, so today's post was around 10:30 a.m. Pacific time on Twitter. So within the 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific range is when I camp out. But definitely, if you see something and you're like, oh, does Proflinet know? Be sure to tag me on any of the social medias or the Discord. You can join the underground and chat with all of us. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is going to happen this week with our Hogwarts Legacy social media promotion. I'm anticipating more companions. You can tell me your thoughts about the Ravenclaw companion who is missing. We have some speculation about that. Like, people have a bunch of different ideas. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, if you have any ideas about what we've seen so far with Sebastian and what you think more it is that we can explore based on the new content we got today. Also, Spooky PhD is in the shop. It's spooky season, so in addition to Daddy Merlin, if that's not your thing, you can also be spooky in this safety orange or other color. It doesn't have to be safety orange, but you can check out my merch shop for all of that. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, Wands ready.